of a bitch.
That's right. We're back. Hey everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Phantasy Star Universe, Ambition of the Illuminus. The first half, anyway. What was that chat bubble just there? Oh, it's just they do the same things. We're gonna pick up right where we left off last week, because, you know, we took a whole week to do 1.5 times EXP on the Affinia server for Phantasy Star Online Blue Burst. But that ended on Saturday, and I took the rest of the weekend off after Friday's stream so that I could recover and recuperate for this. So let's get back to it. This is exactly where we left off too. I remember that. We were doing some character management between chapters. So we finished chapter 1 and 2. We finished chapter 2 specifically at the end of last stream. Of this game, I mean. So last time we streamed this. We're gonna start chapter 2, which should give us a brief recap on what happened in the first two chapters for those who have forgotten. Including myself, just to remember the little details. So, well, let's find out. Well, that's just generic dialogue. You know, welcome to Guardian's headquarters, pick a mission, basically. Not part of the story. So to continue the story, you put select mission, episode 2, you choose your difficulty, normal, hard, or very hard, basically, which is C, B, and A, and that depends on your level. So the third chapter is going to be called Hive Cleanup. Okay. Or at least it's the third chapter. I don't know what the actual name of it will be, but the mission, the first mission for chapter 3 is going to be called Hive Cleanup 1. In an undisclosed area. Can't go to lobby and no escape dolls. I just barely realized that's a rule they have for all the story missions. Wow. That's kind of weird. They want you to first try them, basically, or else you're fucked. Mission received after receiving Guardian's license. Participate in a secret joint operation with the Alliance military. So I'm guessing that first part, the Guardian's license thing, is implying that our character, which is now our own custom-made character, has become a full-fledged Guardian at this point after the first two chapters. So we're not a trainee anymore, like the way Ethan started in, you know, episode 1. This is the moment we become full-fledged Guardians. Okay, here's the recap. While on our way to conduct a field training exercise on MoTube with a new Guardians trainee, that's us, Laia met up with Lou to conduct a search for Ethan Weber, the suspect in an assassination attempt on the president. Yep, that was previous chapter. Acting on information from the rogues, the team headed for the deserts of MoTube, where they discovered a facility that was artificially creating altered life forms using the seed virus. They also encountered Magashi and his Endrum Collective soldiers. I forgot about that, yeah. Now claiming to be part of a secret society known as Illuminus.
What?
That's right, the Illuminati have made their appearance.
Surprise, motherfucker.
They just disguised their name as Illuminus. This was around the time where the Illuminati conspiracy theories were becoming a popular thing in, well, pop culture. At least, you know, in the West, or specifically maybe here, just here in the United States or whatever. The mid-2000s, the mid to late 2000s, early 2010s, people were talking about the Illuminati this, Illuminati that. So it's, I feel like the writers of this game kind of capitalized on that a little bit. Even, I mean, what's another game that came out literally around the same exact time period? Resident Evil 4. And what was the evil cult in that game called? The Los Illuminados. Los Iluminados, to say with a proper, you know, Hispanic accent. Los Iluminados. So, you know, they were really banking on that shit. Anyway, it says Laia and her team barely managed to escape, but were unable to locate Ethan. The Illuminati. Oh shit! Here we go! Anime intro. The Illuminati! This secret cabal of elite bankers that control the country. Or like the whole world. With their pyramid Ponzi scheme of inflation and deflation controlling the money supply.
What? What the fuck?
There's a little bit of truth in every myth, right? The money supply thing's the most believable part, but still, the entire idea of the Illuminati I always thought was kind of funny. It was amusing, to say the least, that time period. And now people have grown out of that and realized, oh, it's just rich people that control everything. It's like, yeah. They don't get together in secret cults and make evil plots. They just do whatever makes them the most profit, and then that's how you end up with the world we're in. That's it. Just chase money, and this is the result. No conspiracy required.
You son of a bitch.
Episode 2, Chapter 3. Hive Mop-Up Operation. Okay, so it is what it's called. Alright. It's named the same as the mission. So I'm assuming this means... No, but they destroyed the Hive. Okay, who knows? Let's see what... I was like, we're going back to the Hive at the end of the last game? But no. At the end of Episode 1, but it was completely destroyed. So... Mina says, Welcome to the Guardians, protecting the future of Goral.
Dylan!
Her name is Mina, but... I've confirmed your Guardian's license. Congratulations! Your training is finally complete. There it is.
Son of a bitch.
Mina says, Lackery, let me give you your first mission.
Bruh.
Laia says, what's the matter? Come on, spit it out. Mina says, oh wait, somebody else says, Mina, I've just signed the paperwork. Oh, it's Hyuga.
Dylan!
Remember, Arnold only knows one name. Let's remember that. Laia says, who do you think you are? Don't butt in when people are talking.
You bastard!
Hugo says, how rude. Don't you know who I am? Oh, this guy. Did he develop an ego after his heroics in episode 1? Is he about to drop some my shit don't smell kind of stuff because I'm the hero of the universe or some shit? He says, I am Hugo Wright, and I will be accompanying you two today. It is nice to meet you, Lackery. That's our character. Laia says, oh, right. Hugo. Ethan Waber's best friend. Almost said Wyber. Hugo says, we were more rivals than we were friends. Oh, that's just...
Bullshit!
I don't buy that for a second, Hugo. Laia says, well, whatever. It doesn't matter. Mina, be quick and give us a breakdown of the mission. Mina says, certainly. But first, you'll have to sign a non-disclosure agreement. What? We gotta sign an NDA?
What? Bullshit!
Dude, what the bullshit?
Okay, that was Laia's response.
What?
A non-disclosure agreement? What are we, starting a crypto pump and dump scam? Do you really think I'd leak classified information? That's ridiculous. What do you think you are? She thinks he's Hawk Tua. Mina says, but this was an order from above. Hugo says, Laia, what's your problem with signing a contract? Don't you know how to sign your name? Oh, hell no, he didn't just go there.
Son of a bitch!
Laia says, hey, back off, buddy. More or less the soundboard clip that I just played, yeah. I think I've proven myself to the Guardians already. If they don't trust me, then they can go find someone else. Oh, I think she's gonna fuck off. Hugo says, Laya, please be an adult about this. Laya says, oh, please. Look who's talking. Such a mature man. Calling his ass out.
Son of a bitch!
Oh shit, it's this guy. I forgot his name, and he put his helmet back on after the last time we saw him.
Dylan!
That's his name for now. He says, what's all this racket?
Son of a
Kurtz.
bitch.
There it is. Oh, hello, Kurtz. It's been a while. Hugo says, Kurtz is a member of the Alliance military. Laya says, yeah, thanks. I can tell that from looking. Oh my god, she is pissed. She chose violence. Well, every day she chooses violence. What else is new? Kurtz says, I am Full Yen Kurtz, captain of the 177th Platoon in the Alliance military's anti-seed task force. They have a dedicated task force now. Laya says, I'm Laya Martinez of the Guardians. Kurt says, good to meet you, Laya. We've all got to pull together on this one. Wow, his attitude is a complete 180, right? He used to hate Guardians, and now he's like, we've all got to pull together. Ethan changed them. Kurt says, it'll be good to work with you on this classified joint operation. Hugo says, that's great. We haven't worked with the Alliance military since the fight to defend the confinement. Pause. Champ. Systems. The confinement systems. Laya says, I don't remember asking for any help. Hugo says, Laya! I'm sorry, she must be in a bad mood. Kurt says it looks like something has definitely upset her. Kurt says they also requested that I sign that non-disclosure agreement. You can't take it personally. Everyone has to do it. It's just a precaution. What are the consequences for violating it? And isn't it proof of how much confidence they have in you? Okay, now they're really, for their invaluable trust, all they request is a signature. They're really pushing the point home that she's acting like a child, basically. Over this, she's being immature about it. That's what they're trying to. He says, I've heard good things about you, Laya. Your stellar reputation has made it all the way to the Alliance military. I'd love to be able to work with you on this mission. Now he's really kissing ass right now just to get her to calm down and sign it so they can go on with the mission. He's buttering her up. Did it work? It worked! Laya says fine. Whatever. I guess it can't hurt to sign. It worked! He hella sweet talked her. Now, isn't that like... I mean, it's not exactly the same way, but doesn't that kind of remind you of how, both Karen, in different occasions, Karen and her adoptive sister, anyway, what's her name? Was it Maya? I believe, yeah, Karen and Maya had both sweet-talked Kurtz on different occasions in the last episode. And now he got his chance to sweet-talk someone else. He sweet-talked Laya. I don't know if that was the intention behind the way they wrote this, but that's my headcanon now. That's what they did. That was like clever writing. Kurt says the mission will be explained in detail later in the mission room. That was good shit. She's got her eyes closed. She's still upset. Like, fuck. Hugo says, yes, sir. Laya says, let's hurry up and sign and get going. I mean, I could have done that without you. I'm not a trainee anymore, so I don't have to listen to you anymore. I'm my own guardian. What do you think of that? But of course, we're not going to be a douchebag about it, so we'll just kind of let her play along and pretend she still has some kind of authority over us. Mina says, may the holy light guide you. Kurt says, our mission is to infiltrate a hive to reach the central control room. and shut down the A-photon reactor. The hive is overrun by seed forms. Lai says, hold on. Wasn't the hive wiped out in the Alliance military's offensive? That's what I was saying. This another one? Kurt says the word hive doesn't refer to any particular satellite. Okay, yeah. So it's just a general term now. It's a general term for any satellite with an A-photon reactor. I beat him to the punch on that. Any A-photon reactor that has been infested by the seed. Laya says, I guess things aren't going to be as easy as I thought. Kurt says, in theory, there can be as many hives as there are satellite power plants. Laya says, if that's the case, instead of going out of our way to go there, wouldn't it be faster just to wipe them out with an armada offensive? Kurt says, we considered that as well, but when we did that last time, the explosion released an enormous amount of A-photon energy. If we did the same thing now, it would upset the photons in the surrounding region, making it difficult for ships to move through that area. And disrupting photon wave communications. And that's not the only problem. The seed flourish wherever A-photons are found. Spreading A-photons throughout the region would end up attracting more seed. Hugo says, so we aren't out to destroy the hive then? More like capturing it alive. Kurt says that is correct. We can disable the hive by shutting down its energy source, the A-photon reactor. Laya says, if that's the case, then aren't we a bit understaffed? There's 4 of us. Kurt says, of course, there are already Guardian troops who have taken up this mission. Guardians troops who have already taken up this mission. Yuka says, this is the first I've ever heard of this. Well, dude, they just made us sign an NDA. They probably did it too, so that's why we haven't heard about it until now that we're getting let in on the mission. Thank you. Yeah, there it is. It finally dawned on him. He was like, ah, wait, the non-disclosure agreement. Of course.
You suck!
I had to think about that one. It's like, fucking...
Bruh.
That would have been nicer. I should have hit that one, but that was the nearest button I could find. Laya says, but why do we have to hide it? That's a good question. Kurt says, it has not yet been revealed publicly that there are still hives remaining. Oh, of course. We're trying to prevent the panic that may occur if the information is leaked. Laya says, I see. Kurt says, you all understand? Laya says, I understand. But with all this talk of the hive being destroyed and other hives still being around, it's getting a little confusing. We gotta label them. How about we give them names? Thank you, yeah. Dude, it's almost like pre-watched. He saw this already. No, it's just... It's just logical. Like, I was like, oh, well, we got to do this. And then they literally say the same thing. They're like, yeah, we got to do this. It keeps happening. Kurt says, well, the truth is, some of them do have names. Like, I just keep beating them to the punch a little bit is all it is. It's kind of funny. Hugo says, in that case, let's go by those names then. What's the name of this hive we're going to? Kurt says, well, my team calls this hive Laya. Though it's a complete coincidence. Hugo says, that's going to get even more confusing. Surprised she hasn't reacted yet. She took it well. Laya says, incidentally, what was the previously destroyed hive called? Ethan? Kurt says, we borrowed the name from a well-known reporter and called it How. Oh, what's her name? Well, I call her the AI VTuber news reporter, but, you know, in-game, like, actual in-game lore, I'm sure she's not actually an AI. She's, you know, they've established she's a real person. She's an actual person reporting the news, but just the way they presented those cutscenes just felt like this game was being prophetic about the future, man. Because, you know, very stereotypical, like, cute anime girl reporting the news. It looks very much like a concept you would see in today's day and age with a VTuber, AI or not, you know? I'm sure we'll get news reporters that are VTubers one day. We already have, like, regular YouTubers and content creators that cover, like, the weather. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's already VTubers doing something similar, you know? Anyway, Hugo says, that seems kind of cruel. I thought everyone loved her. You're trying to say it's a bad thing to have a hive named after you? Which, that's totally logical to think that. Which, in that case, Lai is probably going to get offended now, too. Maybe. Kurt says, well, actually, she's not very well liked among the cast. Why? What the hell?
What? What the fuck?
Laia says, this Laia doesn't seem like that much of a coincidence then. Oh, here we go. Now we're getting to it. Laia says, well, fine. Call it whatever you want. Have your little joke, I don't care.
You bastard! You suck!
Kurt says, sorry. So he admits it! They are calling these hives after people they don't like. This sounds racist!
You son of a bitch!
Laia says, whatever. It's not your fault. Let's just get this job done. Damn, that's kind of fucked up, isn't it? So he literally just admitted that she was right about that, or, well, Hugo and her were right about it. It looks just like the last hive. Shit. That they're naming the hives after people they don't like. It's fucked up. What do they have against Hal? I can see Laia being a pain in the ass, but what do they have against Hal? A cute VTuber. Of course, we got plot armor. We won't get shot down, see? We're fine. Okay, but that was a rough landing. How many people just died before they even got here? But we're fine, you know, plot armor. Laia says, listen up, Lackery. I know we just had a brief, like, brush with death and are insanely lucky to have not been shot down in that rain of lasers, but we're just gonna, you know, that hailstorm of lasers, but we're just gonna act like nothing happened, like we didn't almost just die before we even got here, and be completely calm and just start our mission like it's nothing. So, our mission is to clear out all the seed forms from the 2 blocks ahead of us. After we pass those 2 blocks, we can rendezvous with the Guardians... Oh shit, I didn't pause it. The Guardians' troops. Right. Hugo says if they're not all wiped out by the time we get there. Laia says, hey, don't talk like that. You know, Lackery has barely finished training. Try to have a little more optimism, right? Let's not scare away the new recruit. Hugo says, well, maybe a little fear isn't such a bad thing, Laia. It's a good way to keep up someone's guard. I mean, didn't she literally just say that to Lou in the last mission? Where she said, you know, don't tell the new recruit that we have a low chance of encountering enemies because then he'll drop his guard. Like, he's literally just throwing her own logic back at her from the last mission, even though he wasn't there for that. Laia says, fear tactics are really juvenile, Hugo. What the hell is up with this chick? I get that it's probably not exactly the same. She wasn't trying to scare us. She was just telling Lou not to make him feel complacent. Which is like a little different, but it's along the same lines, you know? Like, it just seems just slightly contradictory for her to be making a big deal out of this. After what she said last mission. Hugo says, that's what you think. Laia says, yes, they are. She's complaining about him being juvenile with fear tactics, and look how she's acting.
Bruh.
Anyway, we're getting distracted here. Well, whose fault is that? Laia says, this area is pretty large. So in order to ensure we move in the right direction, we'll be moving towards small goals. That's a life lesson, folks. Whenever you have a big goal or a dream you're trying to achieve, always break it down into smaller ones. Smaller, more achievable ones. Otherwise, you'll cripple yourself psychologically into thinking there's no way you can do it if you just look at the, you know, the bigger picture and the bigger goal that can seem so far away and unattainable. Focus on process, not product. You know, I'm gonna work on this for like 30 to 60 minutes today, you know? Instead of saying, I'm gonna get this whole thing done before I go to bed. And then you lose a bunch of sleep and, yeah. And maybe you don't even finish what you were doing, so you go to bed disappointed. Yeah, just say, I'm gonna work on this for like 30, 60 minutes today. Good stuff. Hugo says, yes, and that's why I suggested we split up into 2 groups. Laya says, I was sure you were trying to get picked up by the Alliance military. She thought it was just bullshitting.
Do bullshit.
Hugo says, you don't have a clue about me, do you? Dude, they are just constantly at each other's throats. Laya says, likewise, I'm sure. But you don't know shit about me either, fool. Laya's just picking fights with everybody. Laya says, this is Laya. What is it? Kurt says, seed forms have appeared. Please proceed with caution. Laya says, there's nothing out of the ordinary here. Oh no, that was Hugo. Hugo says, let's advance toward the central control room. Kurt says, they could be hiding in great numbers, Hugo. Okay, they could be hiding in great numbers. Hugo, watch out for Laya, okay? Oh shit, she's gonna take that as, yep, here we go. Like what, I need to be babysitted? Laya says, hey, hold it just a second there, mister.
You bastard!
Shouldn't you be telling me to watch out for him?
You son of a...
Kurt says, oh, I'm sorry.
Bruh. Look at this dude.
Hugo says, even within the Guardians, my sword is legendary. In other words, they all think I'm better than you, so that's why they're asking me to look after you. Here comes another fight. Plus, my knowledge of machines is vast. Don't worry, Laya. I'll keep us safe. Laya says, that's reassuring. Well, at least she didn't blow up again. Hugo says, Kurtz knows about my awesome skills. He knows what he's talking about. Alright, Hugo, what the hell? Now you're trying to get a rise out of her at this point, man. You're just gassing your... Like, what an ego. What the fuck is this?
Do bullshit.
Laya says, you spend too much time kissing Kurt's butt. Let me rephrase that and translate that for modern speak. You spend too much time sniffing farts out of Kurtz's ass.
You suck!
You're just like an Alliance grunt. Hugo says, hey, wait a minute. Laya says, maybe you should spend less time kissing ass and more time proving yourself. I'm improvising a little bit to make the script fit my to fit me a little more. It's more my style. I'm stylizing it for myself. I'm ad-libbing. Hugo says, I think I've proven myself plenty, Laya. Is that what it's called? Ad-libbing? Improvising? Whatever, it's one of the two. Laya says, whatever. Hugo says, other people seem to think so too. Jesus Christ, this is gonna be the whole mission, is these two just fucking bickering. Oh my god, dude. Laya says, Hugo, you're kind of stooping yourself down to her level a little bit too. He's gassing himself up too much and just... Like, I feel like he should know better by now and he should just be brushing off her comments, her backhanded comments, you know? Like, you'd think he'd be a little bit more of a step up in maturity level than her, but instead he's just like, you know, other people think I'm good too, Laya. Like, you know, I am better than you. Everyone else seems to think so. Like, what the fuck is he doing, man? I expected better from Hugo than this shit.
You suck!
Eliminate seed forms and rendezvous with troops. Alright, here we go. Finally getting into the meat and potatoes. Ah, shit, man. Hey, Nani! Level 15.
Son of a bitch.
almost too cute to kill. That's Lies line about them, huh? Well, tough shit, Hugo. He just brought back his old line from episode 1, saying I don't feel right fighting this because, you know, it's cute or whatever. And there goes Lion and Hugo. They're down. They're 2 levels higher, too. Now, where was all that big talk, Hugo? You got your ass handed to you. The novice is outclassing both of y'all motherfuckers.
You suck!
Cover me. I'm making a move. I was hoping I could read that without having to pause it. Alright, Laia says the key information is in a container? Nothing showed up when I did a goggle scan. Watch out for the containers. Okay, so break open the boxes. And the goggles won't work. So the game just told us. So loot everything, man. We gotta be a loot goblin for this one. He just ran straight for the walls. Interesting. Nice AI. We saw the same shit in PSO, to be fair. That button totally wasn't just a trap.
Holy shit!
Kung Fu his ass, Lee. At least it's a satisfying heavy hit sound when you use a greatsword. Arrived at the rendezvous point. We made it! Laya says the rendezvous point is ahead.
Hey, not bad.
Great
Not
guess.
bad at all.
Son of a bitch.
Not bad at all, she says. Well, we got some praise from Laya. Oh shit. Our comrades! No! Laya says, what could have happened here? They got slaughtered. What else? Hugo says, this is awful. Everyone. All these guardians. Damn. Yeah, they got fucked up. Did you know any of them? That was Hugo. Laya says, this one's one of my students from a long time ago. Oh, damn. I heard she'd gone on her honeymoon. Oh, man. Damn, that's even more tragic. Aw. She just gotten married then. Laya says, even though we've been busy lately, there have been a lot of people taking vacations. Are they all here? Well, they weren't taking vacations. The honeymoon was a lie. Hugo says, wait, didn't Leo say he was going on vacation soon? Dude, they were all signing the non-disclosure agreement and doing this instead. They weren't going on vacation. Laya says, no, don't go there, Hugo. Let's not jump to any conclusions, okay? Laya here. We're still a ways from the central control room. How are things on your side? Kurt says, wretched. Just wretched. I've seen so many faces I recognize on dead bodies. Damn. Him too, huh? Hugo says, yes, it's the same here. Kurt says, we came across a large seed form earlier. You guys be careful. Incoming boss fight. Could be just a mini boss, but still. Laya says, we will. Kurt says, see you at the central control room. Laya says, roger that. Laya says, what are you doing? Hugo says, Laya says, this is no time to relax. Do you want to end up dead? Hugo says there was something odd about this terminal. All of these terminals are GRM products. That's not so odd by itself, but there's a lot of stuff here that has no place in an energy plant. Laya says, did you figure something out? Hugo says, huh? No, it's just... Look, I know my way around mechanical stuff. Laya says, forget it. Now we've got to hurry on. Hugo says, yes, alright. Hella sus. Hugo's acting sus. The mate's a shady man. Being shady. Laya says, we've been able to clean up the seed to this point. The initial Guardians force was wiped out, just like you said. Hugo says, if I knew it would be this bad, I wouldn't have said that. Well, it's not like you caused it by saying that, but I get it, why you would feel that way. Is that Leo over there? Oh shit. I saw him. Laya says,
What? What the fuck?
someone's still alive. Plot armor. Leo's got it. Laya says, hey, pull it together. Leo? Are you alright? Hugo says, Leo. Leo says, Laya? And Hugo? I assume this is Laya, but it could be Hugo too. Says, that's a nasty wound. You better get that treated fast. Leo says, what, this? It's nothing. Compared to what happened to everyone else. Laya says, it's not your fault, Leo. If only we'd gotten here just a bit sooner. Leo says, no, I was worthless. Now we got survivor's guilt, trauma kicking in. Laya says, don't talk like that, Leo. That's not like you at all. Aren't you always saying don't lose hope? Leo says, yeah, I'm sorry. Leave the rest to us, says Laya. Leo says, oh, alright. I'm counting on you. Hugo says, Leo? Leo! Laya says, he's just exhausted. I should have played this one. There we go. That's Hugo right there. Laya says, Hugo, take him back to the shuttle. Hugo says, Laya. Laya says, Leo was my instructor. If anything happens to him, I'll make you pay. Hugo says, understood. Laya says, after we take a break, we'll head towards the central control room. There wasn't even a nod from our character. Player hub. Time for some character management. Sounds kind of weird just hearing the Playa's City soundtrack for the player hub in this place. It sounds way too upbeat for, you know, this environment.
Welcome. How may I assist you?
Seed infestation everywhere. Well, this motherfucker survived. He's totally fine.
Thank you. Welcome.
Alright, hive cleanup 2. What did this one say? Shit. Okay, the frame by frame was too slow. No. Entrust Leo, the sole survivor of the initial Guardian's force, to Hyuga and head for the central control room with Laia. Alright. Sounds good. Laia says, Laia here. Have you already arrived? Kurt says, we're at the entrance to the central control room now. We've managed to clean up the seed forms. Laia says, damn, I guess you win. Kurt says, this isn't a race, Laia. More importantly, we've encountered a problem. The door to the control room won't open. Laia says, can't you just force it open? Kurt says, our mission is to deactivate the hive, not destroy it. Besides, we know the cause of the problem. The security system has malfunctioned due to the damage to the communications relays. Again, he's like night and day. He's a completely different character now. I like it. He had plenty of character growth after Ethan saved his life. Laia says, I don't know a lot about that sort of thing. Kurt says, you know how to turn on a computer terminal, don't you? Laia says, which one do you want me to turn on? Kurt says, according to the energy routes, spare circuits are wired in that block. The configuration. What just happened? Laia says, you mean this? Kurt says, yes, that. The output is at 20%. There should be 4 more of them. Laia says, hold on, I'll look for them. Kurt says, hey, it decreased. Laia says, what? Great, they're on a timer or something, right? Or not? What the hell's going on? Laia says it's no good. It must be broken, too. Kurt says, due to the burden caused by the seed infestation, the system has probably gotten weaker. Laia says, as time passes, the energy level will decrease. Kurt says, you've got about 60 seconds until the energy levels deplete. Find and activate the remaining 4 terminals within 60 seconds. Laia says, all 5 have to be turned on together? Kurt says, sorry, but that's what it looks like. Laia says, what a pain. Kurt says, all we need is an instant. If the door opens, we can secure it quickly. Laia says, I'll give it a shot. Did you get all that, Lackery? The energy will deplete in 60 seconds. I'll take care of 1 terminal. So that should make things a little easier than having to deal with all 5 at once. I'll start. Activate all 5 terminals together to open the door. Well, here we go. He, oh, I see. Okay, so she asked, this area looks safe already. Do you want me to secure the power whatever thing? What is it called? Power generator? Oh, she said, do you want me to secure the power here? Yes. Okay, so she'll just stay there. And then we're gonna have to run our asses off, basically, between the other 4 terminals. Run! Two. There's kind of a tight time limit with this running speed. Three. One more. 4. Trial cleared! All 5 terminals activated simultaneously. That was actually a bit tighter of a time limit than I thought it would be. They weren't that generous with it. They'd almost... Because, like, I'm pretty sure he hit the first terminal at the 25-second mark. We almost got there. I think he barely beat it by, like, 10 or 15 seconds. We have to really know where they are.
Hey, not bad. Not bad at all.
Son of a bitch.
Laya says, so? Did it open? Kurt says, thanks, we made it inside. It won't take much work to shut down the reactor. Laya says, we'll be there soon. More dead bodies. Oh, the dude on the right's still alive. He says... Laya says, a survivor! And then this guy on the left also says it. Laya says, don't just stand there. Get the recovery medicine, quickly! Laya says, Laya here. What is it? Hugo says, I've just arrived at the shuttle. Laya says, is Leo alright? Hugo says, yes, he'll be fine. Laya says, okay, good. Hugo says, I'll be back there shortly. Laya says, what are you talking about? You're going to leave an injured person all by himself? Hugo says, but... Laya says, we've got real talent here. You're not needed. Oh shit!
You suck!
Hugo says, alright then, I'll protect Leo. Laya says, we found another survivor. I'm hanging up now. Well, she called us real talent. Unless she was just referring to herself and only herself. Who knows? Hugo says, wait! That person. Are they conscious? Are they about to turn into a monster? Is that where you're going with this? Laya says, I'm not sure. They're just groaning. Hugo says, Laya, get away! Don't get near them!
He's pulling his car out!
Laya says, what are you saying? Laya says, hey, Lackery, get back!
Fuck!
Yeah, they did turn into monsters. Laya says, here it comes!
You son of a bitch!
Laya says, are you kidding me? No. I never heard of people turning into seed forms.
Surprise, motherfucker.
We've become over-leveled for this difficulty level. But it seems like, I mean, he tried to choose a higher one too, but... Oh, right. You need to reach level 20 for it. That's why. Yuga says, Laya, are you alright? Laya says, I'm alive, but what happened here? Well, they don't know. It was never... They never made it public knowledge, or even amongst the Guardians, they never told them that humans could turn into, seed forms as well, because we saw Dr. What's-His-Name that Maya was in love with. You know, that's how he died. He turned into a monster when we tried to save him. We had to kill him. But Laya doesn't know about this. Yuga says, those people turned into seed forms, didn't they? A bad translation there. Laya says, I don't want to believe it, but that's what it looked like. But how did you know that would happen? Classified information, here it comes. Yuga says, I got the same feeling when Professor Taragi... Laya says, Professor Taragi? You mean Maya's, the authority on A-photons? She's about to say Maya's boyfriend or love interest or, you know, whatever. He's like, Maya's, the authority on A-photons? I heard he died before he could be rescued from the hive. Well, that's a half-truth. Yeah, Hugo says, well, not exactly. When Maya and I arrived to rescue him, he was still alive. Laya says, you mean... Yeah, this happened. Hugo says, yeah, he turned into a seed form right in front of us. Laya says, if I hadn't just seen it with my own eyes, I'd never believe it. Yuga says there was a strict gag order put on the whole thing, obviously. I had to look for information myself. Somehow, when infected by an unidentified virus, people become seed forms. In fact, recently, not just at hives, but all over the solar system. That same thing has been occurring. Laya says, if this information leaks out, everyone's going to freak out. Yeah, because the first half of episode 1, they established that for some reason humans weren't affected by seed. They would never turn into seed forms. But then at the very end, that actually became a thing. With Professor Taragi. Yuga says the virus, infection routes, and treatments are all unknown. This is not good. Leo better not be infected. That's a perfect pause. Look at Yuga's face, just the eyes. Dramatic anime zoom in for what he's saying. Yuga says the researchers are calling it the seed virus. Laya says seed virus. You understand, right? Don't go talking about this anywhere else. Well, that's why we signed NDAs. Laya says, Oh, Kurtz. Laya here. You finished? Kurt says, N. Laya says, I didn't make that out. Can you please repeat? Kurt says, ah! Laya says, hey, what happened? Hey, Kurtz! Kurtz! I played it too early. There it is. I played it too early. That proves I didn't pre-watch this. Not that it would fucking matter, but... Hugo says, could something have happened? What do you think, chump? Laya says, maybe. Lackery, hurry, to the central control room. Or was it command room? Oh yeah, I said it right. Damn, dude. Shit just got real. Laya says, are you alright? Kurtz! He's here!
Dylan!
Kurt says, I'm alright, but my troops were wiped out. Again. Holy shit, it's Magashi! Laya says the seed fused with the A photon reactor? Well, technically not Magashi, but a generic version of his last boss form from episode 1. Another Dulk Focus, except this one's level 6. Well, this is kind of a surprise.
Surprise, motherfucker.
So you gotta fight the last boss from episode 1 again, albeit at a lower level, but it's the same mechanics. I forgot episode 2, that is Ambition of the Illuminus, kind of ramped things up like that. Like, it starts off kind of gentle and slow like the first episode, and then it starts surprising you with things like this. Since, you know, they kind of assumed you already played the original episode 1, so... Either way, it doesn't change the fact that it's a reused boss fight, though, I will say. They just took out the Magashi voice lines. And there he goes. That was still Magashi screaming, though. It was quiet, because they're trying to hide it, but... Yeah, shamelessly reused asset. That's 2 Magashi boss fights they've reused from episode 1. That dragon we fought too was just kind of a reskin with a different element. Laya says, "What are you doing? Hurry up and get him aboard the shuttle." He's a threat. Hyuga said he said he'd wait for you no matter what and wouldn't go aboard. Okay, never mind. Laya says, "For me?" Leo says, "I can't board before someone on a mission." Laya says, "You don't need to worry about that." Leo says, "If you didn't find me, I'd be done for." Thank you.
You son of a bitch.
Laya says, "You've done the same for me. How many times now?" Leo says, "I had accepted my fate, but then you guys showed up." Kurt says, "Unfortunately, there weren't any more survivors. Let's get out of here." Laya says, "Hey, Hyuga, you got a sec?" Hyuga says, "What is it?" Laya says, "You know that strange computer terminal we saw before? I remembered it when we were talking about the seed virus." Hyuga says, "Huh?" Laya says, "I saw terminals that looked just like that in the Motube Desert. In an Illuminus research facility." Hyuga says, "I've heard of them. The secret society of human fundamentalists, right?" What?
What? What the fuck?
Laya says, "It seems they were doing research on artificially turning life forms into seed forms." Hyuga says, "The terminal from before was a long-distance communication machine." Laya says, "Do you think this could be a seed virus test site?" Leo says, the GRM researchers, every single one, collected seed form data until they died." Hyuga says, "Hold on, Leo. Why were there GRM researchers here?" Leo says they were the client for this mission. Hold on a second. Wait a minute.
Do bullshit.
Laya says, "This mission. You mean it's not an Alliance military operation?" We were lied to. But GRM hired us? Leo says, "Didn't they?" That's what I heard. Oh, hell no. They just confused all of us with misinformation. Laya says, "You mean GRM and the seed virus?" Hyuga says, "We probably shouldn't keep talking like this." After all, we did sign non-disclosure agreements. Exactly, now they got us by the fucking balls. We fucked up. Kurt says, hey, hurry up. Leia says, yeah, sorry. We can't trust this motherfucker. Kurt says, what's wrong? Hugo says, nothing at all. It makes it shady, man. Hugo says, Kurtz probably wasn't told anything either. Yeah, but we can't take the risk. We can't let him in on this. Leia says, yeah. Keep this conversation between us, okay? Talking to Lackery. Damn, dude, the plot's thickening. This is what I meant. Like, we start getting hit by plot twists. I forgot that started happening early on after the first couple chapters in this game. It started off pretty like, yeah, the first two chapters were kind of like, you know, thematically, they kind of fit with the Guardians trainee missions, I guess. The game was just getting you used to the flow of the story and the game itself, how to play it and everything like that. And then now it's like, all right, now we're hitting the fucking gas, and we're gonna hit you with like, you know, a more interesting flow of story events, I guess. Like it's a little bit more, you know, with some plot twists here and there. They're trying to spice it up a little bit from the last episode, I think, where it was just kind of a very linear progression. There was a few plot twists here and there, but it wasn't like as interesting, I guess, is the way you could say it. Like this got a little bit more interesting than, you know, when they introduced the Endrum Collective in episode 1, which is kind of just like a okay moment. It's like they just kind of introduced a cartoon villain that sounded like Batman in the Dark Knight movie, you know. So, and that was it. This was a little bit better for introducing like shady stuff going on, I guess. This was an interesting plot twist. And an interesting way to introduce a villainous entity that seems to be faceless for now. I mean, Magashi claimed to be part of the... What did he say? The Illuminus? But they just introduced this other entity called... What? The Society for Human Fundamentalists? And now it's like, is there a relation between them? And if so, what's the relationship with GRM? Who apparently hired us to do this mission, but we were lied to and told something different, and there's all sorts of shit going on now. So it's like, it's definitely more interesting than episode 1 already. I'm glad it's been like 20 years since I played this, so that it's basically like playing through the first time again. It's a little bit more interesting than if I remembered the whole plot, you know. In the first mission since training ended, the Hive was successfully captured. Also, this game came out what, in 2008? So it hasn't been technically 20 years, but you know, close enough. However, dark secrets seem to be unfolding. Yeah, basically what I just said. Was a client for this mission the Alliance military? Or was it the GRM company? I think it's... I'm gonna say both, but... Under the shadows of the Illuminus and the deadly seed virus... New threats to the Guardians' missions continue to show themselves. Ulyen Kurtz has given you their partner card. Sweet! We get him as a party member. The free missions below are now available at their respective mission counters. The Dual Sentinel and the Dark Satellite. Alright, that's it. Alright folks, well... That's just over an hour. It seems to be, we're averaging about an hour per chapter so far, it seems. Mostly thanks to the fact that I fast forward past the actual dungeon and combat stuff. And if I didn't do that and I never paused to read anything, that would which I wouldn't be able to keep up if I didn't pause. But if I did do that, if I was fast enough, without even speeding it up, these chapters would just be literally 1 hour. They all seem roughly the same. There's a couple when I look down there at the little, you know, the bar down there. I'm not gonna hover over it because, you know, potential spoilers, but they all seem to be roughly about an hour, but there's a few that are a little bit longer and then there's others that are a little shorter. So it's not always gonna be a clean 1 chapter per stream kind of deal. Unless I stream for more than 1 hour, which at this point, you know, I'm already like I've gone over by 20 minutes. But yeah, for now, the streams will continue to be about an hour. Until I become a little bit less busy again, then I can hopefully increase it back up to 2. But yeah, like I said, we'll leave it here for now. So as always, thank you all very much for watching. I appreciate the support across Twitch and YouTube. Thank you very much. And as always, I bid you all to please take care of yourselves. Stay safe. Don't die. And until next time, I hope you all have a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, and good night. And I'll leave you here with the chapter intro music, because it's a banger. Alright. Take it easy, everybody. Peace.
Son of a bitch.